Welcome, I'm Andrew Montesi, and if you don't know me, I'm publisher of HECM World and president of Reverse Focus. Now, when business conditions become uncertain, there is a natural temptation to pull back, to reduce investment, protect what you already have, and wait for the market to become just a little bit more predictable. The new research from EY suggests that many successful entrepreneurs are taking a very different approach. They are still pursuing growth. They're simply becoming much more deliberate about how they achieve it. EY surveyed 500 established US entrepreneurs, and one finding in particular stood out. An extraordinary 97% had pursued strategic partnerships during 2025 or 2026, almost every one of them. And at the same time, growth remained the number one priority for nearly half of those surveyed. But they weren't necessarily trying to achieve it by adding more people, more suppliers, more technology, and more cost. Instead, they were focusing their investment, building partnerships using technology more selectively, and creating greater leverage from the relationships, expertise, and data that they already had. It is a more intentional approach to growth, and I think it has some important implications for the reverse mortgage industry, because many loan officers consider themselves entrepreneurs, and I think that's exactly right. They may operate inside a larger company, but they also are building their own business and their own personal brand. They're developing their own database, creating referral relationships, generating opportunities, and serving customers. And they're making daily decisions that determine whether their business grows or stands still. So today, I want to unpack why 97% of these entrepreneurs are betting on partnerships, and what the broader research tells us about how reverse mortgage professionals can build stronger and more scalable businesses through uncertain conditions. EY's latest Entrepreneur Ecosystem Barometer surveyed 500 established US entrepreneurs operating businesses with annual revenue of at least $5 million. Despite the uncertainty surrounding the economy, interest rates, pricing, talent, and of course, geopolitical disruption, 46% said growth was their leading priority for the next year. That was ahead of financial resilience at 33% and profitability at 21%. 72% said their businesses were moderately or highly exposed to geopolitical disruption. And nearly every company surveyed had reduced investment in at least one area, including expansion, marketing, or research and development. So these entrepreneurs were not ignoring the risks, but they were not standing still either. As EY's Anna Horndales put it, growth hasn't slowed, it has become more intentional. And I think that distinction really does matter. Uncertainty is often seen purely as a threat, but uncertainty can also create opportunity. It changes consumer behavior, it exposes weaknesses in established business models, it forces companies to become more efficient, and it can create openings for businesses that are willing to move while others are waiting. The reverse mortgage industry is certainly operating within uncertainty, and the mortgage industry more broadly is still working through a prolonged period of lower transaction activity. But the underlying need has not disappeared. The population is aging, senior housing wealth remains at historically high levels, retirement insecurity is increasing. More older Americans want to remain in their homes. More families are confronting the financial realities of longevity, healthcare, and supporting multiple generations. So that opportunity remains. The question is how businesses position themselves to capture it without simply just adding cost and complexity. EY's findings suggest the answer may not be to retreat. It may be to grow, but with more intentionality. This research matters to our industry because the reverse mortgage loan officer is often much more than a salesperson. In many cases, they are effectively running a small business. They need to establish a market position, build awareness, generate leads, manage a database, educate consumers, develop professional relationships, maintain long-term follow-up, and convert all of that activity into sustainable production. But there is a danger in assuming that growth always requires adding more. More leads, more advertising, more software, more vendors, more social media, more activity, and eventually more people to manage all of that additional activity. That can create growth, but it can also create bloat. A larger lead database is not necessarily more valuable if nobody is following it up with proper effort. More technology is not necessarily useful if the systems do not speak to each other. More marketing does not automatically produce trust. And a longer list of referral partners does not matter if those relationships are inactive or one-sided. The better question is not simply, how can I add more to my business? It is, how can I produce more value from what I already have? And where can other people help me move faster than I could alone? That brings us to perhaps the most important finding in the EY research. As we said off the top, an extraordinary 97% of the entrepreneurs surveyed said they had pursued strategic partnerships during 2025 or 2026. They were using partnerships to gain faster access to customers, technology, expertise, talent, supply chains, and new markets. And rather than just assuming that they needed to build and own every capability themselves, they were creating ecosystems around their businesses. EY describes this as a shift toward growth through collaboration rather than ownership alone. And this aligns with something that we have discussed quite frequently here on HECM World. The reverse mortgage industry's best opportunity is unlikely to come from working in isolation. It will come from working more effectively together. And this includes greater collaboration within the industry, but it also means building meaningful partnerships with the wider professional community who are serving older homeowners. It's financial planners, forward mortgage professionals, realtors, estate planning and elder law attorneys, insurance professionals, home care providers, and that list goes on. Each of these professionals may see a different part of the customer's situation. A financial advisor may identify a retirement income problem. A realtor may meet a homeowner who cannot find a financially viable path. A forward mortgage professional may have an older customer who no longer fits a conventional lending solution. And an adult child may be trying to help a parent remain independent. A reverse mortgage professional brings specialist knowledge about how housing wealth may fit into those situations. But the customer may receive a better result when those professionals work together rather than attempting to solve each issue separately. The evidence suggests that this collaborative approach can also create measurable commercial value. Salesforce's latest State of Sales report surveyed more than 4,000 sales professionals across 22 countries. It found that 94% of sales teams were using partner selling in some form, which is up from 86% 1 year earlier. And 89% of sales professionals said partner selling was becoming increasingly important to achieving revenue targets. There's also long-standing research showing that customers gained through trusted referrals can be more valuable. A study published in the Journal of Marketing tracked approximately 10,000 customers of a German bank over almost 3 years. It found that referred customers were more loyal and more valuable than comparable customers acquired through other channels. Over a 6-year period, the referred customers were estimated to be worth 16% more. After accounting for the referral reward, the researchers calculated an approximate return on investment of 60%. And they described that as a conservative estimate because referred customers also had much lower acquisition costs. Now, that was just one referral program at one bank. It does not mean every partnership automatically generates those kind of results, but it demonstrates something important. Trust has commercial value, and that is particularly relevant in reverse mortgages. This is not generally a quick or straightforward consumer decision. There, of course, can be skepticism, misunderstanding, family concerns, emotional resistance, and years of negative assumptions about the product. A prospective borrower who arrives through someone they already know and respect begins the conversation from a much different place. The professional relationship does not eliminate the need for education or due diligence, but it can transfer enough trust for the consumer to take the conversation seriously. However, there is an important distinction between a strategic partnership and simply asking someone for referrals. A genuine partnership cannot be built around one person repeatedly requesting access to the other person's customers. It must be mutually beneficial, and this is what I've been telling my clients for many years. Both parties need to understand the value they bring. Both need to see a reason to remain engaged. And most importantly, the customer should receive a better outcome because the parties are working together. For reverse mortgage professionals, that might mean helping a financial advisor understand where housing wealth fits within retirement planning. It could involve providing a forward mortgage loan officer with a credible option for older customers they cannot otherwise help. Supporting a realtor who is helping older homeowners evaluate whether to move or remain in place. Or connecting an aging in place specialist with homeowners who need to fund modifications. The relationship should solve a shared customer problem. That is much stronger than simply saying, send me anyone who might need a reverse mortgage. The most successful partnerships are likely to include regular communication, education, shared visibility, and a clear understanding of what happens when an opportunity is introduced. Technology also plays an important role in the EY findings. 76% of the entrepreneurs surveyed had at least partially integrated AI into their businesses, but only 10% said that they had fully integrated it. And more than 1/3 had reduced spending on technology tools, including AI, as they became more selective about where the technology could deliver measurable value. The entrepreneurs were not rejecting technology, they were demanding a clearer return from it. EY found that revenue growth, customer experience, and operational efficiency were emerging as leading measures of success. And this is an important lesson for reverse mortgage businesses. The objective should not be to accumulate the largest possible technology stack. It should be to use technology to strengthen the growth system. And in a relationship-driven industry, the highest value use of AI may be supporting relational development. For example, identifying referral relationships that have become inactive, recognizing relevant opportunities inside an existing database, ensuring that inquiries receive prompt follow-up, helping loan officers understand which customers or partners need some attention, preparing useful information before a conversation, segmenting communications so that people receive content that is actually relevant to them, recording relationship history, tracking where opportunities come from, and reducing administrative workload so the loan officer has more time for human conversations. This is something that we think about regularly here at Reverse Focus, especially as we work on the next and exciting phase of our tech platform. Technology should not remove the relational element from reverse mortgages. It should create more capacity for it. The goal is not to automate trust. It is to make sure that the systems surrounding the professional relationship are organized, responsive, and consistent. Interestingly, EY found that 49% of entrepreneurs consider data and visibility gaps the greatest risk within their partnership networks. That is a critical finding because even strong personal relationships can become difficult to scale when the business has no visibility. Who are your genuine strategic partners? When did you last speak to them? What information have you provided? What kind of customers do they serve? Have they introduced any opportunities? What happened to those opportunities? Did the customer receive a prompt follow-up? Was the partner updated? And is the relationship producing value in both directions? Without data, partnership development can become dependent on memory, or it can be ad hoc. A loan officer may have hundreds of contacts, but only regularly communicate with a small number of them. Good opportunities can be missed. Relationships can quietly become very inactive. The business may continue spending money to find new contacts while failing to develop the ones it already has. Salesforce found that 90% of sales professionals working with partners use dedicated tech to support those relationships. This is a strong indication that partnerships are no longer being treated merely as informal networking. They are becoming an organized sales and growth capability. Growth without bloat does not mean refusing to invest. And it does not mean trying to remain small either. It just means being more deliberate about where that growth comes from. Before buying more leads, examine the opportunities already inside the database. Before adding another platform, determine whether the existing tech is being used properly. Before hiring more people, identify the work that could be simplified or automated. Before attempting to build every capability internally, consider whether a strong partner already possesses it. And before asking someone for referrals, identify how you can create genuine value for them and the people they serve. This is the new playbook emerging from that EY research that we've been talking through. Growth through uncertainty, but do it intentionally. Use partnerships to extend your capabilities. Use technology to strengthen execution. Use data to identify where attention matters and keep people focused on the work where they can create the greatest value. For reverse mortgage professionals, that means education, advice, problem solving, trust, and relationships. The strongest businesses may not be the ones with the biggest teams, the most vendors, or the largest volume of activity. They may be the ones that connect their existing assets more effectively. Their knowledge, their database, their customers, their technology, and their network of professional relationships. Because scale does not always come from owning more. Sometimes it comes from working together much more effectively. Thanks for listening.